Always something to do. In some ways I won't be sorry to see the back of some of this engine. Look at this. These are little heat shields. What do you think this is? You can bet that's not good for you. We might just damp that down a little bit and then get rid of it. I will be so pleased when we get this engine bay tidied up and I stop banging my head on these things. So after the disappointment of that auction, it's probably time I did some real work. Let's get in the Porsche and do something. Now have a look here. Now regarding the heating, ventilation, air conditioning down there, the existing box, we're not going to use any of that. All the existing vacuum-based flaps and things are going to go. The MG one is, again, it's a self-contained unit like that is. Let's see if we can use that in its entirety. So let's see what we have to do to get rid of the dash. Now, this dash is actually quite an attractive dash. The binnacle itself is a very attractive binnacle, and that's one of the signature features of a 928. I think we need to retain that, so come and have a look with me. Let's see how we can repurpose these instruments. Let's keep the voltmeter as it is. This one, we'll get a new thing printed. We'll make that the high voltage voltmeter, not oil pressure, because there won't be any oil pressure. The tacho will become a power meter, I think, like it is in the MG, so it can start there, power on this side and regen down here. Speedo and odometer we need to retain. Fuel gauge, why don't we make that the remaining range? I think that'd be a good way to do it. State of charge or remaining range. And this one, temperature gauge, will retain as electric motor temperature. So all those things should be available for us to use on the CAN bus. And the way we're going to make it work is, if you tap into the digital signal on the right CAN bus, you can actually read the right packet that's got the information you need for the instrument in question. And using what's called an Arduino board, an Arduino board is something that costs like 20 bucks. You know, it's a cheap item. You can then write a little program to say, read this signal, which might be on a scale of 0 to 255, for example, a digital value, and then map that through to an analog voltage or resistance, and then you send it to the right instrument so it displays there. So you write a little bit of code that just loops around and around and around, and it's constantly reading those things and displaying them on the instruments. And to do that, what we'll need to do is take the pod out, get the instruments out, take them home, attach them to a computer, write the program, and do some test values. And so we'll actually try setting the value in the computer program and see if the board then reads the value and displays it actually on the pod out of the car. I think that's the way we should test that. It's very hard to test your power scale as you're driving around the streets to see if you've got the right range. Calibrating the speedo and all that kind of thing take a bit of tweaking, but the process to do it is going to be fairly lengthy, but fun. So first thing we've got to do is get the binnacle out. Regarding the dash, I think what we should do is just strip it all out, put in the MG stuff where it belongs, just using wire stringers, wire frame, and then later on take it to a trimmer and say, now make it pretty. Because working under that dash, trying to fit the MG air conditioning, for example, is going to be impossible. I think we just need to start with a clean palette, and then afterwards say, now make it look like a 928 again with a proper trimmer, which is definitely something that I'm not skilled to do. Okay, so first thing, this comes off. So what do? With a gentle pull, not too hard, because oh, it's quite hard. There we go. And then you take out the horn wire. It actually took a lot more force than I thought it would. And then you need a 27mm for the center nut, and this can be very tight, so you might need a bit of force here. Oh, it's not tight at all. Huh. Oh, that was easy. It's funny, in this car, some things you'd expect to be extremely tight are loose, and other things that don't need to be tight are impossible. There are actually 3 connectors that go up to the instrument cluster. This is the right hand side one. It's meant to be, it shouldn't have been that easy to pull off. Okay, that's one. I'll never remember how these things go, so we just mark things as we take them off. Okay, this guy. ignition switch. Luckily there's no battery in the car at the moment, so these are all the leads going to the power seats. It's half of them not connected with voltage on them, just floating. Other ones, by this stage of their life, the tape's, you know, just so old it just falls off. Really dodgy bit of soldering there. Those are bare leads, and they're positive and negative to run one of the seat functions. And that is why old cars like this burn to the ground. I've got to show you something. These seats here.
It's pretty shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Almost looks like speaker wire too.
Yeah. One bad design decision 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Get the harnesses off. That one. Okay, not bad. Okay, just about there. I don't even know what that is. Just hanging there. Some button control taped up. I think that's probably the odometer reset. Anyway, 2 fog lights there. That's bizarre. Anyway. Almost there. Right on that. Okay. Now the last connector. Yeah, that's out. Good. And so there we are. Not without a bit of swearing. The cluster's out. That is the temperature gauge there, this one. And clearly somebody's had a bad connection on the board here, because these old copper strips just peel off, and they've had a bad connection, so they've wired it directly through. Oh, these old-fashioned globes. Look at that. You can replace them with later LED ones. Try not to bang yourself in the back of the head. Aha. We're making progress, kids. Well. Aha. I tell you, if you want to give some kudos to a guy who's closer to 70 years of age than 60, crawling upside down under a dash, then give us a like. On this side, relatively easy to get to. Top one up there, easy, and a little one on the side there. Piece of cake. That should be it. So this should come out. Oh look. Oh, you beauty. I have to tell you folks, that was really difficult. And look, it's almost out. Just got to get this out and under. Figure out how to get past that. So if you've got a 928 and you're thinking about recovering the dash, just have a look at this. It's actually no small job to get the dash out. And so many, on an old car that's 40 years old, so many old plastic fittings are at risk of snapping or breaking. Just be really careful. We're almost there, as you can see. I've just got to clear this somehow. Okay, I think we're out. Can I pass that to you? Yep. Hooray! Thanks, Matt. It's more like an aircraft yoke now. Prop clear. It's the little things that cause you so much fun. Here we are on the steering column. There's a little, as you can see, there's a spring here that holds the steering rack. As you move the steering column up and down, it sort of locks in, a little ball bearing sits in those positions. But you can see if you open it too far, what happens is the spring suddenly shoots out and the ball bearing goes ting, 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 all around the car, which is exactly what it did. But I found it. Now the trick is to get it back in. Somehow I don't think this Porsche electric 928 is going to be ready next week. Okay. Better try and reassemble some of this. Put this on upside down, then I can get one of them in, then I can rotate it round. Yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, baby. Okay, we're making quite good progress with the wiring. I'm quite pleased with the way today's going. What we're going to do is get a whole lot of stuff out and then reassemble stuff. The indicators, the wipers, a lot of the headlight switches and stuff. and then we'll reattach the battery when I'm sure there's no shorts anywhere to the charge point in the bonnet, and then we'll check that we've got still basic functions: headlights, wipers, hazards. Even though it looks like an absolute dog's breakfast in here, there's our window switches we have to retain. There's the floor. Next step, getting this HVAC unit out. Make way for the MG's one. That thing, that big blob. You're next. What other little surprises are there? Oh yeah, up here, the central warning unit. So that's not even secured properly, just hanging there by one screw. But we've got to keep that. Got to keep a lot of this stuff. I put these fuses in just as a safeguard on the ignition switch, was at one point was drawing too much current back in episode 2. What have we got here? We've got, this is part of the heater module, and that's switching vacuum. There's a master vacuum in by the look of it, and that switches it to a whole lot of little vacuum actuators with these relays. Now just that unit itself is about half a kilo, so all that's going to go. They're the actuators there, those things that get vacuum driven. Another one there. Oh, but I'm really pleased. Look how much space there is. Just one solid bar there you can mount everything off. And when all this is out, it actually should be a big open space. 2 hours later, this is a significant moment, and just about there. There's just the vent at the bottom. Okay, we'll get that off. Okay, I think we're there. Hooray! And we're out. They have to be 20 years old or more, genuine Australian dried gum leaves. For sale. Well, I can't tell you how happy I am about that. Look how much space we've got now. Major win. Okay, big tidy up. Refit enough electrics to get the basics going, because I like to get headlights, wipers, electric seats, electric windows. But to do that I'll have to tidy up a whole lot of potential short circuits first, get rid of a whole lot of this unnecessary wiring, and then we'll weigh the car. Okay. Well, believe it or not, we've had a bit of a vacuum and tidy up. You'd never know it, but it's just the start of the big cleanup. And look, I'm pretty sure we don't have any awkward short circuits at the moment. Alrighty, let's just check some basic functions. Short circuit, no. We didn't get any smoke just then, so that's a good start. Let's put the current meter on. Central locking block. That works. Don't tell me. Oh, it's working. Lights. Headlights. Headlights. High beam. Lasher. Lights work. Perfect. Wipers. Yes. Yes. Okay, there's no washer bottle, so that won't work. There's no way I'm going near the sunroof, but door windows. Yes. Drivers, passenger. Hazards. No, that's not going to work because that relay, the red one over there, is still mucking up. It sounds very sad. Do you like my horn, Matt?
Sounds alright.
Are you happy, Matt? He's waving his mallet. That means yes. Next stop, let's get rid of that clutch master cylinder. I don't think we need that anymore. Get rid of that. Next stop, we're going back out to Windsor to see what's happening with the MG. We're going to bring that back and start pulling it apart. A lot more tidying up to do here. I'm really going to enjoy it from this point on. Just, don't you love it when you clean cars out and you make them nice and tidy? So we've made a little milestone. So the turbo Commodore, boom. And what are they for? Measuring air pressure?
Pressure, yeah.
You've done a lovely job.
Getting close now.
You must be ready to fire this up pretty soon.
The next.
Oh, actually, you're waiting on the manifold. You got the wrong manifold for this side, didn't you? Or
Yeah.
so the customer's going to get another one. Everything else is done. Beautiful.
That's it.
Got your oil feed picking up there.
It's connected. Yep.
Yep. And that looks tidy. It's super tight down there. It's going to be generating a bit of heat down there.
Sure will.
Love the heat shielding though. That's cool.
Put another one on top.
Fabulous.
Put one around the ECU.
Okay.
It's got to get moved.
Oh yeah. Yep. There's
Yeah.
be copping too much heat over there.
Yeah, it used to
Where
sit,
was it originally?
It used to sit
Oh yeah, down there.
exactly on that
Oh yeah.
tunnel. So
That's not going to.
its home's gone.
Oven baked ECU.
That's it.
You're going to have to extend these looms.
No, I'm going to mount it here.
Okay.
Build a bracket off.
Still going to get a fair amount of radiated heat.
Well, it used to sit there, and there's the manifold originally. So it
All
used
right.
to be 3
Okay.
inches from a
Okay. And you heat shield underneath it. Okay.
multiple, I think.
Fabulous. And there's our intercooler tube. Fabulous. Doing a lovely job. Okay, look forward to seeing this one going.
Yeah, so very close now.
It's a lot cleaner than my 928.
Yeah.
Probably because it's not, or 40 years old.
Just finished the intercooler pipes, but I'm looking just where to mount the wastegate.
Okay.
And
What's it set to?
this got a 7 psi spring in it.
Okay.
So
So what's the owner want to do? He wants to...
just load something around there because it's a stock motor.
Yep.
Got a few Ks on it. So
Yeah.
the manifold doesn't have provision like a 2-bolt flange to mount this to it. So you've got to fit it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, do I weld it? I can weld an elbow straight off the turbo.
Mm.
That's probably the most effective boost control.
Mm.
Do I go on the right at the elbow into the turbo, so way up here, come off this big 90 up here,
Yeah.
and they mounted it. There's a crossover pipe that will come, say for example, I'll get this pipe here,
Yep. And it'll come down through here.
through here, up into that 2-bolt flange up there.
Yep. The idea is you put the wastegate close to the turbo.
Correct, yeah.
And they had
Yep.
one close to the turbo, and it ran away. It was meant to be triggered at 7, but they were getting 12 psi, and it couldn't keep up.
They put it just here in the crossover, almost just here, 90 degrees, and they said, oh, it may work, it may not, it's sort of...
But it was just on the crossover at 90 degrees to it.
Yes.
Okay.
And they said it was creeping the boost, so their target was 7, it was running up to 12 or 13, I think.
Okay.
So once you can't control boosts, you're in big trouble.
Yep.
So they then moved it over here, even further away from the turbo, but on the 90, there's
Yep.
a 90 that's going to come around here,
Yep.
and gave, they straightened it, so as the flow comes around, they put it straight in the line.
So it's aiming at it kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Not on a 90-degree T-piece.
Exactly, and they said the tuner then, he targeted 7 and it could hold 7. So this physically was venting enough pressure out of it's still venting enough because it's such a big turbo. We just need to, and this 38mm, it looks very small for a near 5.7 litre motor, but he said it sold many kits like this and it had no issues as long as it's positioned correctly.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell you in anywhere where to position it.
Position next to the turbo was getting runaway boost, but positioned way over here.
Yeah.
And it was
with a
managed.
good flow path to it.
Yeah, it was
said it
working
was,
better. Oh well.
Maybe when you're targeting 20 psi, you're going, we want 25, 30.
Yeah.
You'd probably go, no.
Yeah.
Even when this is fully open, this valve,
It's
you're never going to...
dispose of that much.
Exactly. So then you might go, oh, we need to go here. But because this is like a stock style.
All right. Okay.
So yeah, interesting. Anyway, we'll find out.
You'll do it. So it's fairly easy for you to
It's
mount it
easy.
up
We've got
here.
heaps of room down here. And we've already got to build the pipe. So we just
Yeah.
weld it all up accordingly. And
Okay. Around here, is clearance going to be an issue?
it'll go just under here.
In
We'll
that
probably
gully.
trim this little tab here.
Okay. So
It
go
will
right-
hang a
it'll
little bit
be
lower.
really hot right next to the rack there.
Yeah, I'll probably wrap the rack.
You want to use some of that asbestos that I just pulled out of
Yeah.
the 928?
Nice.
No, we're not going to do that. Righto. Not without a bit of effort. I got the, there it is. There's the cluster out of the car. And as you can see, it's a bit corroded around there, looking a bit tired, a bit secondhand. So your 12 volts becomes 10 volts, becomes 8 volts, becomes, Now, got a problem we need to discuss. Speedo. One of the requirements of the electric 928 is that we have a working speedo. and odometer for registration. Now it can't be GPS based, because you'd say that's the easy solution, just use a GPS one.
Yeah.
Digital display on the dash, easy. It's got to work when you're going through tunnels and stuff.
Okay.
So the way the MG worked is that it had ABS, and it had ABS sensors on all 4 wheels.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking on the CAN bus, the 21 modules in the car and thousands of messages going back and forth all the time, one of those packets of messages was the wheel speed at any one time, and it's just constantly delivering it, giving all 4 wheel speeds as a digital value.
Sure.
And it was from 0 to 65,000 or something like that, which corresponded to a certain speed. And the ABS and the stability control and all that used those numbers. This car never had ABS, and it's too hard for us to retrofit ABS. I think it's 48 pole sensors in every wheel, maybe down the track, but it's just too hard. We need some different way of figuring out the car's speed that's not GPS based. Now we've removed the entire transmission tunnel, so the existing method from Porsche doesn't work either. We don't have a sender. So what do you reckon? I've got an idea, see if you agree. What are you thinking?
I guess we picked up the speed from the transmission before. Can we pick it up from the same place, somewhere from the motor or the transmission of the new one?
Because the motor speed directly correlates to wheel speed. It's 1-speed transmission.
Yep,
There's no concept of idling. You can't rev it in neutral. If the engine's revving, car's moving. Might be going backwards, but the RPM of the motor directly correlates to wheel speed.
Yes.
You're right.
Yep.
So we could actually take the engine RPM and map that to a value that just shows on the speedo.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I suppose there's no torque converter in the transmission where it slips or multiplies the engine speed to the wheel speed. So yeah, you're right. It's
just a case of doing the mapping.
Yeah, and I suppose when the motor's doing 0 RPM, it'll show you doing 0 speed.
Yeah. The interesting thing will be what happens in reverse. Does it go backwards? Does the Odo go backwards?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We'll think that through. I haven't thought that through at all, but
my guess is no.
Yeah, I would say no.
But yeah, sit on the hoist and I got a brand new 928.
It'd be just like that scene in Ferris Bueller's Day
Yeah,
Off.
that's right.
You can't run your car in reverse on a hoist to make the Odo go backwards. It doesn't work.
Unless your name's Ferris Bueller.
Unless your name's Ferris Bueller. And even then it doesn't work. How do we actually do that? That's the bit that I'm going to enjoy, because we'll use an Arduino board.
Oh, yep.
Now I know you know a bit about this, but
sure.
So I can sit on a PC, write a program that actually loops round, and it's sniffing on the bus all the time, looking out for the packets of not the ABS wheel speed sensor, but the engine RPM sensor. And when it sees one of those, it then maps it. It says, my values went from 0 to 65,000 digitally. Let's map that to a resistance or a voltage that corresponds to what this is expecting. And we send that signal straight to the speedo. And it's just a case of getting that mapping right so that the table works. And that's just a programming issue. We can just put new faces on these dials to correspond to what they're showing. Now, next question, the odometer. We need a working odometer. There's no physical cable or anything that goes into this.
Yes. It must have a little motor inside it.
Yeah. It's clicking over proportional to the speedo needle on a time basis. So
it must get pulses.
Yes,
more pulses it goes quicker.
Actually, it does. The speedo is pulse code width based. It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. I suppose you don't have to go and fully remake a binnacle around the dash. No. The cluster there, it fits. Yeah. It looks original. Yeah. I think that's a big plus, and it's a massive thing. Fitting everything's one thing, but displaying it in the nice original Porsche way. Yeah. I suppose you could tweak it as well, because I'd say this wasn't dead accurate. And if you change tyre sizes, you could probably go, well, now we know
put a GPS in the car, go out and say, this is our actual speed. Yep. And we're eating at 2% low, so let's tweak the value on the mapping table. What's more, you wouldn't even have to take it out of the car to do that. Yes. Because you can take your laptop and program the Arduino board on the fly. So all that kind of tweaking can be done later. We're a long way away from that though. What's our next step? How about I finish stripping out this car and I'll get some weight scales, put the wheels and tyres back on, we'll drop it down off the hoist on the scales and see how much we've lightened the car. Yes. Do you want to have a guess as to what our weights come down to? The original weight would have been 1,500 kilos.
I think you said the motor weighs
270, 280, just the motor.
Yep, and the gearbox, it's a big gearbox.
60, 70.
Yeah.
With the torque tube.
Torque tube's massive. Oh. And there's heaps of bolt-ons.
Starter motor and the bell housing and the...
As you say, like, it's just a bare shell. There's not much, like a rolling shell.
Well, we've still got seats and upholstery and all the things we're going to have. We've only taken out stuff that's coming out for good.
True. I suppose fuel tank. There's more than we think, the exhaust. Like, that was heavy. It could be under a ton.
Mind you, there's a 600 kilos of steel safety cell around the driver. These cars are incredibly safe.
Yes, that's a lot of metal.
Yeah, but they did put lightweight aluminium around the outside. Mind you, somebody's put fiberglass guards front and back. That's added a shitload of weight back on.
See what it weighs.
High five.
Put on a diet. See if it's been eating too much over Christmas or it's been good.
I think this car's been on a big diet.
Yes.
All right, now we've stripped out basket case and we're about to go and weigh it. I think it'd be good to know what a standard 928 weighs. So here we have my beautiful 1981 3-speed automatic Porsche 928S. Very, very similar to the car we're converting to an EV, except that it doesn't have a sunroof, so it's probably about 10, 15 kilos lighter. So let's find out the definitive answer, thanks to Rickshaw Performance, who kindly lent me their racing car scale. So here they are, and the answer is 1,478 kilos, with a front bias of 53% and obviously a rear bias of 46.7%. So interesting, the standard car is nose heavy, which is no real surprise because the cars are a bit understeery. It would be very nice if we can make our EV slightly rear heavy. Not as much as a 911, but with a slightly more rear bias, I think it would be a better handling car. So anyway, that's the benchmark. 1,478 kilos for a car with no fuel in it and no sunroof. So let's say 1,500 for the standard car. That's our So we need June 2000, coming up 24 years old this year. I don't think we'll be keeping these tyres. So I reckon with all the stuff we've taken out, and there's still a little bit more to come out,
Yep.
I reckon 940.
Yeah.
Way down. I assume the start weight of 1,500
Yep.
or 1,550 with a full tank of fuel. So, what's your prediction?
I said 1,000, but I think it's going to be like 1050. I'm going to say 1050.
That's a big drop from 1,550, isn't it? 500 kilos of stuff out of the car.
I'd say torque tube was heavy, engine heavy, so much bolted to it. We still got drive shafts in there, which we'll have for the next one. So, yeah, the gearbox was chunky.
Yeah.
Heaps of chunky parts. So
you're
I'm going to say 1050.
Okay.
1050.
Right, here we go. Come and have a look.
Do you want me to drop it?
Yeah, why don't we?
Down.
Yep. Building up, building up, building up. It's going up.
That's it. It's down.
Are you sure it's all the way down?
Yep. Yeah, it's all off.
Come and have a look.
All gaps.
Here, look. Here's my spreadsheet. Just before you look. Total. I came up with 984 there, but I took a very pessimistic view, so I reckon it's 940 is my number.
Yep.
Here we go. Ready? 918.
Almost 10 more kilos would be 928.
How good is that?
Yeah, that's good.
We've taken, well over 500 kilos of stuff out of that car. Half a ton. Okay. Is that stuff out? Let's start putting stuff back in.
That's it.
Right.
What's it going to weigh with a full car again?
Total target, under 1,400 kilos.
Yeah.
To be 100 kilos lighter than the lightest standard 928.
Yeah, definitely.
Happy endings.
That's it.
One thing I did predict was that it'd be about 56% to the rear and 44% to the front after we pull the stuff out. So let's check it out. So fronts, and there we are, 46% front, 54% rear. That's good. What I think this means is we can actually put the entire battery box in the front and it'll still retain pretty much 50-50 weight distribution. If anything, I'd like a little bit of rearward bias for the weight, but 50-50 would be good. It was good to see these headlights go up, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No short circuits.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, next chapter, out to Windsor to see how the MG's going. So apart from looking at the distribution from fronts to rear, which we did before, you can also look at the diagonals and say 50% from left front to right rear, and obviously 49.56% the other diagonal. So very nicely corner weighted on the diagonals, which would be useful if you're racing cars. Me, I don't care. This is a road car. Oh hey, you made it right through to the end of the video. Congratulations. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, please share it with your motoring friends. And above all, click the little subscribe thing down here so you can see the latest videos when we bring them out, hopefully each week. I look forward to seeing you soon.